Sego, Sewakwego. In this capsule, I'd like to discuss some of the tensions that have been in the community for some time. I mean, we're no stranger to it. It's been going on, it seems, since just before 1990 and onwards. Let's talk a little bit about the present. The tensions that have come up. There's been a lot of, I've addressed it in other capsules about disinformation, outright lies, and the truth that is verifiable about what council has been working on for some time. We knew that for years development for our community wasn't really possible because of the debt and the huge bills that we had. That's changed. Our programs have better funding, we have better policies in place, and we've worked hard to achieve it to this point. Now, there are certain people that are quite preoccupied with land titles and land reacquisitions, and I understand. But to go to this length, to divide the community, and to make it us versus them, goes against every principle that our ancestors stood for. We found it acceptable to intimidate. Gunfire in the community, we've heard that for a long time. High-speed races. We've seen even lately, arson has become an acceptable form. Just recently, there was some protests. Protesters were generally peaceful in the small commons, in an area known as La Colline. But recently, one of the houses there was burned after an incident. On a Friday afternoon, a couple of our members were on site and some threats were made, and later on that night, a house belonging to a lady who actually is a descendant from Ganawage. Her entire life savings, or everything she sacrificed for, went up in flames that night. Some are saying it's justifiable. They shouldn't have been in La Colline to begin with. That's not our way. It shouldn't be our way. This was a lady who was seeking peace somewhere in this world, and she found a little spot. And she was burned out for it. Now, whoever did this doesn't realize that if we were to get together and fight for the titles for all Ganasadagerono on those lands, all those houses there could be acquired by us in the future because they will come up for sale. They could become part of our community. And we also have certain groups that are trying to compare us to the situation in Six Nation in Caledonia. There's a developer there who wants to develop condos or some kind of development. And it's being compared to this. It's not. The developer in Six Nation does not want to surrender the land back to Six Nation. He wants to develop, and he feels he has the full right to do so. Whereas here, we have a Mr. Gaulin, who we have an agreement with in principle that he will hold the lands for us so that we could repatriate them at some point. Not the same thing. And the development at La Colline, Mr. Gaulin assures me there's no more development. That's it. The lots that are left will be available to the community. The understanding of the past was that Mr. Gaulin was not to touch the pines. He kept his word. He didn't touch the pines. He was not going to develop there. Matter of fact, that 170 acres of that pine forest that Mr. Gaulin holds interest in is subject to an ecological gift that he wants to give back to our community and have an ecologically protected area under the Mohawk people of Ganasadaga. So I don't see where the comparison to Caledonia is. I really don't. If we're going to fight the title against each other, and we're going to start making distinctions about who is Mohawk and who's not, who has the right to this and who doesn't, then we're in serious trouble. We are all part of the same nation, same history. We've had the same misery. We've shared so much as a community. And yet we're applying the lessons of colonialism, of dividing into categories who belongs where and who gets what. My intention was always to find peace in our community through a better education, development, the land repatriations. There's no selling out. I believe in the same thing you do when it comes to the land and the status of those lands. What we have to do is come to a common vision as to how we're going to do this. The lands have to come back to the whole collective of Ganasadaga. Without restrictions, it's for everyone. It's the only way we're going to find peace amongst each other. I've laid the groundwork with my councils since 2011, and we're at the point now we can take that next step. If everyone feels they have a benefit in that development in the future, there'll be less jealousy, less hate, less division. That's always been my belief. Others are trying to make me out to be something else. They try to dehumanize me. They try to make me out to be, I'm the colonizer. And anyways, I find it extremely insulting. But the fact is that, yes, there have been threats towards myself, threats of burning my house, and yet those who are supposed to be talking peace are the ones inciting this. That has to stop. If we don't, you're never going to see any land repatriation. You're never going to see economic development. You're going to see this one chance evaporate right in front of you. And who knows how many generations until you see this again. It has to stop. We started with consultations with comprehensive community planning. That was one form of consultation people should have got engaged with. What's the common vision of everyone? What do you want to see? I can only bring you the options, but you have to choose what the future of your community is going to look like. I can have my voice as an individual, but we have to make it together. This illusion that people are making out that I'm trying to do something that would hurt our community. And they're trying to find someone to blame. Instead of pointing that anger and that hatred at the governments who actually were responsible for our situation, we're turning our anger and division inwards. And now others are starting to pay. They're paying with a lack of safety in the community. They always have to worry. Where's my next meal gonna come from? What future is my child gonna have in this community? What kind of education or job opportunities? These are things that shouldn't be part of a healthy, prosperous nation. We're all Mohawks. We all try to find a good mind. Some of you decide to try to find it under Gayanarekoa. Others have found it under Christianity, under several forms. But everyone wants to live in peace. The basic human need is peace. And that's what we need to be doing right now, is looking for that common thread. Because when traditionalism is replaced by activism, there's no more room for dialogue. So we all have to recognize that we all want the same thing. If we could do that, I think we're more than halfway there. So nyawa go for your tongue. Anna.